You are still watching Prime Morning. My name is Rosalie Fairley, and this particular segment, which is the Social Watch segment, we are still looking at communication in development. And in a nutshell, it's still the same way to eradicate poverty, but this time around, we've changed the topic a little bit. I want to know how we can use communication to do this. And we are going on Zoom because our guest is on Zoom. And like we said earlier, COVID made it possible that we use Zoom to communicate. So technology has been made easy for us, and hence our guest for today is Mr. Bismarck Odumsaki, who is a communication for development strategist. Hello, Bismarck.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
It's good to thank you. I didn't see that one coming. It's good to have you on Zoom today, and we want to know how best we can use communication for development, since you are the expert in that.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'm looking forward to a beautiful conversation.
Sure.
Now, before we delve into this, I would like us to look at this from a broad perspective and zoom it down on some things that we see around us. So let's look at the concept of development. Development. What is development? Most times when we ask that question, we are quick to look at the metrics for measuring development. We are quick to look at the economy, the GDP, the HFI, and all the others. But development goes beyond that. Development can be looked at from various perspectives or looked at from various paradigms. Now, let's start from what we call the modernization paradigm, which we mostly look at as the dominant paradigm. So we will say that for Ghana to develop, we need to be like the West. So we will try to measure our infrastructure to that of the West. We'll look at roads, hospitals, and all that. And you hear Chinny Jonas coming to tell us that reform, look at these facilities, and you compare that to what we see out here. Yes, it is also development, but it goes beyond that. The modernization paradigm is mostly targeted at saying that, okay, we are the third world countries, we are developing countries, and so we have to look at a certain country as our ideal kind of development. And that can leave a lot of gaps if we don't take care. If we use that to measure our development, the question is, can we ever develop? Can we ever be like that? That's something that we should check. So, and that kind of development is mostly seeded in, like I said, we are using the GDP, the development metrics. And from where you sit, maybe you can do your calculations. Can our GDP in the next few years match that of the West? The answer may be negative. But if you look at the development from other perspectives, then we may have hope in our development. Another type of development that we quickly will look at is the dependency paradigm, which we mostly say that, okay, we have to depend on the West in order to develop. So Akufo-Addo will tell us, or our president will tell us that, okay, we need to develop, and we need to develop in the sense that we need to win ourselves off aid, or we need to go beyond aid. So we see that, okay, now to be developed, that means that you have to be independent. You have to be able to manage your own affairs. You have to be able to do things on your own. That is also another kind of development that we can look at.
But are we there? Are we even there as a country? Because they will tell us that we need to look at this, how we can depend on ourselves and all. But it looks like we still depend on the West to survive.
Yes, we still do that because, we have the core countries. That is the West, maybe the Americans, now China, the Europeans, and all that. We have the semi-peripheries, those who are trying to develop, and the peripheries. Mostly, these countries depend on the core to survive. And if we keep doing that, then you link it to the first kind of paradigm that I said, the modernization paradigm. The question is, can we ever be like that?
Yeah.
We cannot be like that. So now we need to look at our own self and now look at how we can speak about development in our own way. Let's look at our culture, our tradition, how we do our things, and look at how we can empower. The word is empower people to participate in development.
Now, where does communication come in here now? Where do we then say it's time for us to communicate, and what kind of language are we using to communicate in development?
Okay, so now development communication is seated in the paradigm I just mentioned, the participatory or participatory paradigm, or what we call the empowerment. It's about listening to the people, knowing what they want, understanding their plight, and then creating development with them. So now, from where you sit, if you drive around to most of our areas, you see that there are a lot of projects that are abandoned. You see markets that are abandoned, projects that are not used by the people they were intended for, or the intended beneficiaries. You ask yourself, why is this happening? It's as a result of failed communication, and it's a result of lack of effective communication. Now, for us to develop, for the development to be sustainable, the people must own the development. They must feel that this is ours. If they feel that the development is for them, the development is they are part of the development. One is sustained development. There's a sense of belonging, and they are part in maintaining the development. You go to so many institutions and they are rotten because the people feel that, oh yes, we were there and they built this for us, so we can use it the way we are. We want to use it, and after that we'll get someone to come and build it for us, and you get politicians to also come and promise that, okay, we will do this for you. But if we are part of the development, that conversation will change. So now development communication is about going down to the people, understanding the key issues, doing what we call listening. Most times when we go into the community, the tendency is that we start promising. We think that we know what they want more than them. So we feel that, okay, yes, you need markets, let's build markets for you. You need boreholes, let's build boreholes for you. Right. You need stadium, let's build stadium for you. But the question is that what they need? If you take your time to engage them, to listen to them, you realize that maybe what they need is not your borehole. What they need is not your market. What they need is not your stadium. You have sat somewhere and you think that this is what they need, but to them, that is not development.
Yeah.
So you will build your market, you will build your stadium, and you go to Accra or the capital, and then you put it on paper and come and tell us the numbers. That, oh, we've built this year, we've done this year, we've done this year, and then people will tell you that we are not feeling it in our lives.
It's true. It's just like constructing roads in a community that they don't have cars. You know, you are giving them roads. They don't have cars, they don't have schools, but you are giving them roads. What are they supposed to use the roads for? They don't have jobs.
Exactly. Exactly. So they will tell you that, okay, you are telling us all the numbers. You are telling us that the GDP is this, you are having good growth, you are having this, but it is not reflecting in our lives. And that is what development communication comes.
So now, do we organize workshops to speak to the people, or what do we do when we go to the people in order to hear what they have to say?
Okay, good. Now, in my view, I think that every municipal assembly or district assembly should have a development communication specialist. The role of the specialist is to do what we call communication-based assessments of his or her municipality, to understand issues in the community, produce a report of it that will be sent to the government. So if the government wants to do any project in any municipality, you will know that this is what people in Winnipeg needs. This is what the people at Abuabo in Kumasi need. This is what the people at Otrimberia needs. So it is there. That is the first step. But until we get that, now, if you go to the people, you know, you need to do what I said earlier, communication-based assessment.
Right.
By listening to them. Okay, what is happening here? What really do you need? What are the living conditions here? What is the problem? Most times, when you go out there, what you see is not the problem or the cause of the problem itself. It is the effect of the problem. The problem itself is hidden somewhere, and you can only discover it through dialogue, by engaging the people.
Right.
So, for instance, let's say you come to Winnipeg and you go to you go to Choco, you go to Jamestown, and you go to the fishing community, and you see that teenage pregnancy is common in the area. And by looking at it, you think that, oh yes, teenage pregnancy is common, and we need to, development is about changing the lives of the people positively. So, okay, I want to change their lives positively. So it's teenage pregnancy. What do we do about it? Okay, let's introduce them to contraceptive use. Let's use this for them. Let's do that. You may be wrong. You realize that in those communities, maybe about 10 people lives in a room. About 5 people live in a room.
So true.
So, and if you go down, you realize that even parents want their children to go out there so that they can have their space. So the teenage pregnancy you want to solve goes beyond contraceptive use. It's about the lives of the people, how they live. That is the root cause of the teenage pregnancy you see. So before you can discover this, you need to engage them. And then know that, okay, now the teenage pregnancy goes beyond what I think that the youth are just having unprotected sex. It's about the standard of living of the people. So before I do this, maybe I have to tackle the economic problem. I have to tackle the social problem. Sometimes it's even seated in the cultural beliefs of the people.
Apart from creating these centers, is there any other medium of communication that you can use to reach the people?
Now, you asked a question earlier, and I was getting to it. Let me get to that now. So by communicating development, what we are saying is that get to talk to the people, not only through DEBA, but one-on-one. Identify the key stakeholders, know their interest and their role in the problem, speak to them, and then engage them well.
Right.
Now, what we call stakeholder engagement in Ghana is just rhetorics. For instance, let me ask you a question here. When we introduced new e-learning, we said that we are doing town hall meetings. You are a media person. Maybe you witnessed that. How was it done? What is the quality of engagement? If you go and you gather people and you tell them what you think you want to do, and then you ask them for questions and they bring your questions, have you engaged them? What was the level of participation?
Right.
How was their voices heard? And we have to always make sure that we are not speaking for the marginalized, but we are letting the marginalized speak for themselves. And you can only let the marginalized speak for themselves if you empower them to speak. How many people were in those meetings? But we said that we have engaged Ghana. People are ready for the e-learning. But truly, were we ready? This is what we are talking about when we say development. Let me use another case, for example.
Yes,
do you remember this agriculture issue that happened in Accra recently? The minister came and then he told us, in fact, most people were commending the minister for doing what he did and for being able to inject people from agriculture. And the minister kept on saying that, yes, I've done stakeholder engagement and I've done stakeholder engagement. But from where I sit, I can tell you that development wasn't communicated. And if we don't take care soon, the people will come back to the area. Recently, I read that the people are trying to come back.
Wow.
Now, it's because we didn't engage them. If you come to tell us that, oh, tomorrow we are going to eject you from this place, or next week or next month we are going to eject you from this place, and you say you've done stakeholder engagement, that is not stakeholder engagement. And that is what we see in our communities.
Can we use questionnaires as a form of stakeholder engagement?
Please, can we
use questionnaires as a form of stakeholder engagement?
It is form of stakeholder engagement, but that is when you want to determine the baseline.
Okay.
The baseline status. So, for instance, I go into the community. I want to know their standard of living. I want to know the demographic and all that. Maybe I can use questionnaires. And then I can do survey to check so that I'll have the baseline. Most times, if you go there and there's no data in that area or no NGO has done anything in that area, then you may do that. But if you know there is a data, you may pick that data and use it as a base for your development interventions.
Right.
But You can also use survey and questionnaires to validate the data that is available.
Right.
And okay, I went there, these people have done this, but let me check whether the data is exactly how it is. So you can use that. But mostly it's about engaging the people, living with them, understanding
going
their
to
plight,
them,
and be ready to listen to them. The key word is listen to them. It's not about speaking for them. It's about listening to them. Once you listen to them, you'll be able to know what they really want. And then when you are able to agree on what they want, they will feel that this is our project. This project belongs to us. So they will find ways to protect that project. They will maintain that project. They are part of that project. But if you feel that, okay, I know what they want, and you do it for them, trust me, they will call you back always to come and fix the same problem, because there's no sustainability.
That's so true. I mean, I agree with you 100%. Now, it is even getting the people to speak to is another issue altogether. So how can you lure these people? How can you gather them to speak to them and get to know their problem so you can solve it?
Okay, now you are right in that sense, but I have done this for some years, and I can tell you that we may say it's difficult, but it's not difficult. It's about how you engage them. Sometimes it's about understanding the cultural dynamics of the area. So for instance, if you have a project up north and you go there and you want to speak to the women, and you start speaking to the women individually, you know, the cultural dynamics in that part of the country may prevent women from speaking out. So you may have to use the right strategy.
Okay.
It's about, okay, so let me do a focus group discussion. If you do a focus group discussion, in that way, no one will feel that, okay, now my voice is not heard, or that they may feel comfortable because they see that Amina is talking, Rabitu is talking, Mamunatu is talking. Sometimes too, it's about speaking to the men and then getting them to allow you to speak to the women. Also, most times when we go into the community, we are quick to ignore the youth or the young ones. Oh, these people, they are not important. Let's speak to these people. But they have a voice.
Yep.
Listen to the voice of the young people too. So demographically, how have you done your stakeholder engagement? How have you listened to the people? Did you listen to only men? Did you listen to only those who matter? Did you listen to the youth? Did you listen to women? All these things are supposed to be captured in your assessment. So if you go down there, first of all, you do what we call a transient walk in the area to understand the area, to know how the area is. Later, you start engaging people one after the other. You realize that now people will start opening up. And for they to open up to, there's what we call building trust. You need to build trust with them. So, like you are sitting in your studio right now, if you want to go to interview someone, and I guess you may have faced that experience before, the way you are dressed, you may enter the market, you take the microphone to them, and it's like, oh, no, I don't want to talk.
Yeah, you need to be a part of them.
Yes, he or she sees you as different. Look at the way you are dressed. You look beautiful, like I said earlier. And so you feel that, oh, no, this one, she's above my level. How are you entering the community? Are you striking some kind of similarity? Do they identify with you?
Right.
Or you went there in your V8, parked there, came out in your suit and tie, and you say, I want to talk to you.
Bismarck, that's true. I wish we had enough time to talk about this, but I mean, you've made your point, and we understand. I mean, what you've said is what we really need. We need to go to the communities, hear what the people need, and then we can give it to them. That's the only way we can actually have development in our society.
That's exactly what we do.
Thank you so much.
And this needs to be part of our policies.
Great.
And once again, I will say that we need to have development communication specialists at the municipal and the district level.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us via Zoom this morning, Bismarck. We are super grateful. We'll be speaking to Mr. Bismarck Odumsaki, and he's a communication for development strategist. And of course, we'll be speaking about how to develop our country through communication. You've been watching this show. We know you've had so much fun watching this show. You've learned a lot as well. And when you go out there, make sure you spread the good news. We actually do stream live on Facebook every morning, Joy Prime TV.